Covers FM. It's a very great pleasure to welcome into the studio this afternoon Kate Brandram-Adams. Kate, mindfulness. Now, I'm to introduce you as Kate Brandram-Adams Mindfulness. But you're Mindfulness North Canterbury, is that right?
Yes, that is right, yeah.
Awesome. Yep. So tell us about yourself. This is probably the best way you can help the listeners.
Okay, yep. So I live in the Hurunui, so I'm a North Cantabrian. And so I'm one of the few trained and registered mindfulness-based stress reduction teachers in Canterbury in the South Island. And I've also worked in mental health for the last 27 years. And a huge part of my life is my own practice of mindfulness. So Mindfulness North Canterbury was something that I developed over the last 6 or 7 years as a social enterprise to be able to offer these science-based, evidence-based mindfulness courses right here in North Canterbury.
Well, we're lucky to have you, aren't we? We really are. So what would one expect from one of your courses? What's the takeaway for someone who's looking to get some help from you? So
some of the benefits that people have noticed of doing courses, particularly the longer courses, so the mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is the one with the research behind it, with that amount of time, that 8 weeks of practice, is people tend to notice a different relationship with themselves, so a different relationship with their minds, with their thoughts, with their emotions, often even feeling a little bit warmer and kinder towards themselves. The other big thing that people comment on is feeling less reactive. So with the practice over time, we break through that sort of automatic conditioned behaviors of just reacting to things. And there's a bit of a gap that opens up with the practice that means that we are able to respond in the way that we want to rather than just blindly reacting to what comes along. So a big thing is around emotional regulation. People find that it's easier to sleep, they feel less anxious, less stressed, and it's also really helpful for people with chronic pain and chronic conditions. Yeah.
Okay, so it has a lot of benefits. What can people do on a daily basis practicing mindfulness? Is there little exercises that we can all do on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that mindfulness is really accessible. So it's a lot more than just meditating. Mindfulness is really about kind of like being awake for your life. So rather than just going through the motions, sort of on autopilot, that we're actually really aware of what we're doing as we're doing it. So, I mean, we can all do this right now. So we can just be aware, whether we're driving the car or walking somewhere, just being aware of what we're doing right now as we're doing it. So you may notice the sounds that you can hear.
Yep.
Your feet, where they are. Just even feeling your posture in your body. The body and the senses are like a doorway to the present moment. So wherever the mind is, if we come back to the body, so things like the feet on the floor, feeling the breath in the body, that kind of brings us straight back into this present moment. So that's something that we can do just with day-to-day stuff, like slowing it down, eating a meal, tasting it, slowing it down, in the shower. Instead of thinking and having conversations in our head, we can bring our awareness to the senses, the smell of the shampoo, the feeling of the water on the skin, the feet on the floor again. So the body and the senses are a really, really helpful way to start. And it's a bit like, I know for me, like I live in a beautiful area out in the Hurunui and walking the dog, and it's so easy just to get stuck in my mind thinking about something, and I'm missing all this beautiful scenery and the joy of being with the dog.
In the moment,
so and of course the dog is a great reminder of that because he's in the moment. So he's children and animals are really good reminders of bringing that wonder back. And I think Mental Health Awareness Week this week today is actually Wairua, and bringing awareness back to the wonder of the everyday, or what I call the sacred in the mundane. So actually really noticing what's around us, noticing what we're grateful for, noticing the beauty in just the simplicity of life.
Yep.
And there's just one more that I want to offer, because I just think this is so important.
Yep.
Is one of the ways that that we can practice is interpersonally. And so, often with family and partners, it can be so easy just to get into that autopilot.
Yes.
And so we can practice mindfulness of deeply listening to each other. So it's really looking at that person like you've never heard what they're going to say ever before.
Yes.
And you really take notice and really listen. And whether that's your kids or your partner, that is just such a beautiful way to practice.
Yes, and I once had someone say to me, just as an aside, it just came to me now, that the reason we have two ears is that it takes twice as much effort to listen as it does to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you should always, and it does take a great deal of effort to truly listen to someone if you really want to get what they're saying, to concentrate. It is very important because it can make such a difference to how you hear the message as well.
And I just think, for me, it's just to really not have to say anything and just to really hold space and really listen to that person. For myself as a practice, but often it then has an effect on the other person to have that space to really be listened to.
Definitely a two-way. Yeah. Both benefit from that. So now, just in summary now, how can people connect with you if they'd like more information about mindfulness or the courses that you run?
So probably the best way is to go to the website. So I try and keep that relatively up to date. So there's an upcoming events page on the website, and there's a bit of an overview of all the different courses. So there's a mindfulness-based stress reduction course coming up in the next week or two, and there's also an introduction course coming up in November, both in Rangiora. And there's, if you go to the website to the contacts, you can actually sign up to a newsletter, and that means that you will get kept up to date with what's happening.
Great. And that's just Mindfulness North Canterbury?
It's just www.mindfulness North Canterbury. You'll find me, and there's a Facebook page as well.
Awesome. Well, look, thank you, Kate Brandram-Adams, for coming in and telling us all about mindfulness. I've certainly learned something. Nice to have you, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. Thank you so much for coming in.
Lovely. Thanks, Heaps.
Lovely to meet you.